Eminem, Marshall Mathers, Slim Shady. If you were to ask people to describe him, the majority would say vulgar, controversial, angry, homophobic, trashy, arrogant, drug addict, violent, among many other negative things. What most people don't know is all of his achievements, all the barriers he has broken in history. Eminem broke barriers when he released the Slim Shady LP, becoming one of the greatest white rappers in history and breaking the color barrier. He became one of the most well-known rappers in a predominantly African American music genre. Eminem had made music in ways no one had thought of before. The rapper has sold more than 42 million tracks, 49.1 million albums in the US, 100 million albums worldwide, nominated for a total of 340 awards, and has won 150, 15 Grammys, 16 MTV Europe Music Awards, 12 MTV Video Music Awards, 8 American Music Awards, 17 Billboard Music Awards, 4 Brit Awards, 7 People's Choice Awards, 10 World Music Awards, 1 Oscar, listed 10 times in the Guinness Book of World Records, and many more. Marshall Bruce Mathers III was born on October 17, 1972, in St. Joseph, Missouri, although he calls Detroit, Michigan home. He was born into poverty. He was raised by his mother, Deborah Nelson Mathers, in a trailer where she struggled to pay their rent. Eminem never knew his father because he left his mother when he was only 2 years old. There wasn't much structure at home, since his mother struggled with drug addiction, which led to him spending a lot of time on the rough streets of Detroit. His mom couldn't keep a job for more than a few months, so they were constantly moving from place to place. Eminem has said it was extremely hard since he was in a new school every few months.
Another. So you had to change schools every couple months.
Yeah, I would change schools 2, 3 times a year, and that was probably the roughest part.
Since the schools that he attended were predominantly black, he was bullied, beat up, and shoved into lockers. When he was only 9 years old, he was beaten so badly by a kid named D'Angelo Bailey that he spent 10 days in a coma. Eminem got his revenge later in life by calling out Bailey in his song Brain Damage. Due to a combination of constantly changing schools, being bullied, and lack of support at home, Eminem struggled academically in school. After failing the ninth grade 3 times, he dropped out of school and worked odd and end jobs to help his mother pay bills. Although he struggled with grades, he was always exceptional in English. Slim is known for reading the dictionary to broaden his vocabulary. He started to keep boxes of papers with words and phrases scribbled on them that he could refer as to stacking ammo. Eminem was introduced to rap music by his uncle, Ronnie Polkinghorne, who was only about 2 months older than him. Ronnie gave him a cassette tape, Breakin', and the first rap song he ever listened to was Reckless featuring Ice-T. Ronnie was a musical mentor to Mathers, and he was scared to rap in front of his uncle because he viewed him as a better rapper. Ronnie committed suicide in 1991, causing Eminem to not speak to anyone for several days, so much so that he did not attend his funeral. His uncle made such an impact on his life that he has a memorial tattoo and has mentioned Ronnie in several of his tracks since he passed. In 1987, runaway Kimberly Ann Scott came to live with Eminem at only 13 years old. In 1989, they would start an on again, off again relationship, including being married twice and both ending in divorce. On December 25th, 1995, Kim and Eminem had a daughter in which they named Haley Jade Mathers. Haley gives him a new focus on being able to provide a better life for her. In 1997, Eminem went to Los Angeles to compete in the Rap Olympics MC battle where he placed second. He was so upset by losing that he didn't realize that someone gave Dr. Dre his cassette. Dre listened to his music and was highly impressed with his talent. He contacted the rapper and signed him to Interscope Records. They worked tirelessly for the next 2 years, and on February 23rd, 1999, Eminem releases his first major album, the Slim Shady LP. After this release, he becomes quickly the most controversial rapper in the game. Even with the controversy surrounding him, this album went multi-platinum and earned 4 MTV Music Awards. In 1998, while he was working with Dre on recording his album, he created Slim Shady, his alter ego that allowed him to express his anger through music. The same year his new album dropped, his mother would also file a lawsuit for $10 million stating that her son was slandering her name. When writing his music, he expresses his own struggles, and nobody from his past or current is excluded from his harsh criticism. One of his main targets in his earlier music was his mother. He often rapped about her drug addiction and how she was basically a horrible mother. The judge ruled in her favor, but only in the amount of $25,000. After lawyer fees, she only got about $1,600. May 2000 brought even more success with the release of his second album, the Marshall Mathers LP. It sold over 19 million copies worldwide and he received 4 Grammy nominations, winning one for Best Rap Album. On May 30th, 2000, it becomes the fastest selling rap album of all time, selling 1.76 million copies in the first week. July 8th, 2000, The Real Slim Shady debuts at number 1 in the UK, his first chart topper on the singles chart. On December 16th, 2000, another single from his album, Stan, debuts at number 1 in the UK. The Marshall Mathers LP is named one of the greatest albums of all times by Rolling Stone Time. In 2001, Eminem got several of his friends together from the underground rap scene of Detroit and formed a rap group called D12. They released an album together called Devil's Night that contained the popular single Purple Pills. That same year, he had the honor of performing with one of his icons, Elton John, at the 43rd Grammy Awards. The organization GLAAD criticized John's decision because they viewed Slim Shady's lyrics as homophobic. The following year, 2002, was another great year for the rapper. He released the critically acclaimed album The Eminem Show, which included popular songs like Without Me, Cleaning Out My Closet, and Sing for the Moment. On March 23rd, 2002, he becomes the first rapper ever to take home an Oscar for the single Lose Yourself from his upcoming movie 8 Mile.
And the Oscar goes to. Woo! The Oscar goes to Eminem, Jeff Bass, and Louise Roscoe for Lose Yourself from 8 Mile.
Later that year, on November 8th, 2002, his movie 8 Mile is released. Shady stars in the film, which has been speculated to be loosely about his own life and struggles. While the movie didn't do as well as expected in the box office, it did provide him with the Oscar earlier that year, so it was still a success in his eyes. Also, on November 19th, 2002, he hit number 1 on the top 100 with the single Lose Yourself from the movie. It would go on to become the longest running number 1 hip hop single. On October 24th, 2004, he launches his own uncensored hip hop music channel on Sirius Satellite Radio called Shade 45. December 6, 2005, Curtain Call, The Hits was released. It sold over 400,000 copies in the first week in the US, making it his 4th consecutive number 1 album on the Billboard Hot 200 and was certified double platinum. In 2006, Eminem's childhood best friend and a member of D12, Proof, was murdered. After 2 days of private mourning, Eminem issued a statement saying that without Proof, there probably wouldn't have been an Eminem and for sure not a Slim Shady. Later in 2006, Eminem remarried Kim, but divorced after only a few months. The loss of his best friend and another failed marriage ultimately led to Eminem spiraling out of control on drugs. He was addicted to the prescription drugs Valium and Vicodin, taking up to 90 a day. In December of 2007, he overdosed on the drug methadone and was told he was only about 2 hours away from dying. After that, he knew he had to get sober for his children, so he went through detox and rehab. By 2009, Mathers had managed to kick his addictions and release his first album in 5 years, Relapse. Eminem released his 7th studio album, Recovery, on June 18, 2010. According to Billboard, this was the best-selling album of that year. Forbes named him the best-selling male artist of 2010. In December of that year, the great Eminem Recovery was number 1 on Billboard's Top 25 Music Moments of 2010. In November 2013, he released his 8th album, MMLP2. That same month, he received the Global Icon Award, joining other icons Whitney Houston, Queen, and Bon Jovi. June 1st, 2017, the word stan is entered into the Oxford American Dictionary thanks to his song. The definition is an overzealous or excessive fan of a particular celebrity. From 2017 to 2020, he has released 3 chart-topping albums without warning, including Revival, Kamikaze, and Music to be Murdered By. Eminem is a very important part of the history of rap music, paving the way for white rappers that came after him and will continue to be a musical icon for those to come. He's a true example of you can be anything you want to be if you are dedicated and put in hard work. When faced with any barrier in life, he found a way to rise above and break through it.